Welcome back to the Best Advice podcast. And this week we're joined by the bright and sprightly and super up for it, Jacinda Patty, to talk to us about the best advice she has ever received. Hi, Jacinda.
Hello, how are we? It's great to be here.
Excellent. So, Jacinda, what's the best advice you have ever received?
I took a moment to gather my thoughts.
And
I honestly
much, or?
But there is, and you think back and you're like, oh, I know that person did or said something in my life that made me think. And I was like, what was the thing that they made me think about? But I've landed on a recent, my probably most recent bit of advice that I also pass on to people. And it is from a dear client of mine. If no one dies and no one goes to prison, just do it.
It's good.
Right. And look, the backstory is experiencing this, but I've recited it to myself multiple times in the past month as I launch my first ever Command Your Presence event. I'm like, the only thing that's going to get hurt is my ego. If no one dies and no one goes to prison, we're having a great day. It's so logical.
I feel like you can use it in so many different areas. Obviously, you're talking about
Business.
pushing yourself to do things that might be outside your comfort zone. But, that whole idea of if there's no serious consequences, really serious consequences, then maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah. And I landed on the only thing that's going to hurt if this event doesn't go the way I want it to go is my ego. My business doesn't suffer. No one suffers. The people that turn up will still get a great event. I was like, wow, this really is. And I've passed it on to a lot of people as they're telling me like, oh my gosh, my life is over. I said, no one dies and no one goes to prison. You're having a great day.
So what was the catalyst for why that has resonated so much for you? I mean, you just mentioned you've got an event coming up, but
I think it's the ultimatum of the saying, the advice. It goes, I guess I'm an extreme thinker or I'm an extreme doer. So I 100% dive into things. So maybe this advice doesn't really fit perfectly with somebody who is a bit more of a fence sitter. But for somebody who jumps and leaps and throws constantly, it's a great way to anchor yourself and really remind yourself, no, actually, this is the reality. Although it feels, like you said, Fraser, like doing a new scary thing, it's scary, but reality check. It's not that scary. Pull your head in.
You mentioned the concept of, the only thing that's going to get hurt is your own ego. I think for a lot of people, that still hurts. And so, yes, we can easily say, let's take the risk, I guess, because the worst case scenario is is that still something that you think people will hold you back? And if so, what's your advice around a bruised ego?
I landed on that maybe just last week as I did one of those classic, self-help counselor, right? What happens if it goes bad? Right worst case and right best case. And when I wrote it, I was like, see, I don't have, I have ego maybe in a different way. I have ego when I put it into a situation like this, but generally I don't actually think about it as a thing. So for me, it was like, oh, that thing, ego, oh, that's what is starting to creep up inside me. So, and I was like, oh, I don't know what this thing is. I just do things most of the time and don't think about, I don't have that friction with my ego on a regular basis. So I guess to your question, I don't have that friction. So in a situation like this, I need a quote like this advice, because it seems that extreme to me in this moment, but maybe somebody who deals with ego on a bit more of a regular basis, it doesn't sit the same, I think, maybe.
It does feel like a very Patty trait.
It's very extreme. Yeah, it's like Yeah, it's just, I just love it. I love it. I loved it when I heard it come out of my client's mouth, like the way the logic in it. And we were talking about it in regards to like big business decisions, companies, life, stuff, trying. And I guess like it just reminds you don't hold back. And I like the underlying advice it's actually giving. And probably I'm all about empowerment and doing scary things, even though I do scary things and feel scared all the time. It's just, I'm really used to doing scary things because I do them all the time. But I actually coach people on doing those scary things. So it just reminds you like, you're going to be okay. You're actually going to be okay.
That's an interesting tangent because in the first episode we did, Fraser and I were talking about the best advice, some of the best advice I ever had. And one of the things like people find weird is that I really love standing on stage and talking, even though I'm an introvert. And that's because no one can talk to me. So, and they got to sit there and listen. And so that, that works, works for me. But I get the feeling you're at the other side of that like, I know you like to perform and you like to be on stage from what I've observed. So that's got there's a different purpose for it for you than that obviously is for me.
Yeah. I completely forgot. Oh my gosh. Yes. The positioning that you can't be touched up there is such an interesting, like, I remember when we did my podcast and you said that now that it's coming back to me. And I was like, I'd never thought about it like that. Like in my mind, you're on a stage, you're performing. I'm a performer of over 25 years. I think about stage as performing. It's like you're giving out. And you're like, no
for
one
those
can touch
listening,
me.
there is a whole choreographed.
Oh yeah, sorry. This
Find the video clip when this comes out.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's jazz hands and everything. But to my point about this advice may be too extreme for somebody. And I guess that's the tangible thing about advice, really. What might mean something to me means something very different to Ben, to Fraser. That's, I guess, the amazing thing about them. I guess that's why you listen, you learn, you pick, I always say, go and learn or go absorb someone's content or go and read a book and take what works for you. Like, you don't have to take everything that somebody's saying. You can just take the bit that resonates to you because it's not going to work for everybody all the time.
It certainly feels like a way like of just saying, obviously just do it or go ahead and hurry up and give it a go. Like really stop making excuses of what's holding you back. No one's going to die. No one's going to prison. It's not there's no serious outcomes here. So get over the small stuff. Is that sort of another way of putting it?
Yeah. And I think the reality is, and where this came from was people do die. And, and I had a moment when I thought about this in the car because I thought, actually, I've lost 4 people in the last year who are in a immediate circle to me. And I was like, holy shit, like didn't think about this saying that whole time. And not that it immediately was within my business or my company or, directly affected. It's just like shit, things happen. Are you going to stop and be scared or are you going to do it anyway? And I guess it's safety check it. If the only thing that's about to get hurt is your ego, wake up to yourself.
Yeah. What really matters.
Yeah.
And you said you find yourself saying this to your clients, and
I do. I pass it on to other people because I'm like, I'm actually don't want to listen to any more of what you're saying. Like I'll stop them in their spiral, and it's a really good thing to pull people out of a direction they've decided to go. I'm like, whoa, hello. They're like, nah. I'm like, cool. So what are we going to do about it? Because we have the ability to change or adapt and make something of this situation that and you're not, I guess the biggest thing and biggest thing about advice is you don't ever want to take away from somebody's feeling. Ben's feeling on stage is Ben's feeling on stage. My feeling on stage is my feeling on stage. And Fraser, I'm sure you've got somewhere in between of the best, the best of both worlds.
He's definitely
he's not on stage.
Fraser loves the stage. I mean, just going to the words, the dyes or the prison bit. Like, I don't get the impression I've never got the impression that you're I'm doing stuff that might be borderline and I might go to prison and doing this stuff. It's obviously the dyes bit that resonates for you a little bit more. But is that equally so for all your clients and some of the things they're doing? Or
I'm gonna say that some people look at me like, huh? Are you serious, Jacinda? And I'm like, well, answer the question. And this isn't just clients that I'll ask. I'll ask my friends. I probably use it more to shut my friends up or stop their spiral, in a sense of like, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's stop and figure it out. Let's change. I guess it's a direction change. It's a really good piece of advice to click someone and get them to change direction. It's that, I can't even think of the saying, but
I would say it's a pattern interrupt. Just going to interrupt there.
Thank you. Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah. So it stops it, and whether they get it, whether they resonate, and that's what I kind of like about it. Whether you get it, whether you resonate with it, it makes you stop. And that, I think, is the main purpose of it, because it jars you out. Like, what did you just say? Like, are you serious? Stop being so dramatic. And it's like, well, actually, you're the one that's being dramatic. I'm just trying to flip the switch.
It's kind of the point. Now, I know that you mentioned when you said at the beginning that, look, there's lots of different pieces of advice that you've heard over the years. I'm keen to explore, like, we just don't need to have one. I'm keen to explore a few others that you might have heard that you went, yeah, that makes really good sense.
Okay. The one that came into my mind before this one goes back many, many moons ago to a time when I was a young human at a full-time dance college. And the director of the college, I was probably 18? And the director of the college, and I don't know if this is necessarily advice, but it's stood out to me. We had a meeting, like a progress meeting, and he said, I might as well be looking at that white wall because it's more interesting than your face. We'll just let that one land with those that haven't experienced the dance industry, but I have never forgotten it.
I wouldn't have forgotten that either. It's pretty heavy, like a thing to say to somebody. That takes a lot of gusto, doesn't it?
I was 18, and I think.
Were you doing something specifically wrong at this moment?
No. No. I think what he meant was, like, you're looking at, like, if you're looking at this visually, I mean, you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a very animated person. And I think what he was trying to say is, when you dance, you're not doing this. You look like a boring, like, wall. Like
you're going through the motion. Is that what he thought? Yeah. You're like, weren't.
There was no connection.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
So look, maybe that comment is the reason why I have my business, Command Your Presence, because from that day on, I was like, right, it'll be on my face 24/7.
Yeah. I mean, I think that nobody comes to watch you do this to not enjoy the show or the experience or the talk or whatever you're doing on stage. And there's an element of, even if you are more animated than you might normally be, it's not that level, like that extra level that you need up on stage when you're up there, and you almost need to hyper.
Right. So exactly. And it was like, we were working towards agents, at the end of the year, coming in, watching our showcase, getting an agent, then that was the rest of your career. So it was like, hey, honey, you're not cutting it, essentially. And, it's not this advice, let's be honest, is not the most positive of advice. But it was probably what I needed to hear right then in terms of, the best advice that you can get.
It's funny how, even though it's not necessarily a straight piece of advice, but it's something that really has resonated. And then you've been able to find the meaning in amongst the noise of that comment, which essentially is around, to me, sounded like it's around the idea of you're doing something, but you're not, the person that's watching was not connecting with what you're doing. And so not only do you have to do what you're doing, but you have to be that EQ around that other person listening and understanding and getting it. And then you having to work out if they're not getting it, I've got to then do something so that they get it. Am I right there, or am I just completely thinking of myself?
You lost me a little bit, but it's he could see something I couldn't see, I think. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. To the point of it, he was telling you what he thought from his position of not connecting with what you were doing.
Yeah.
Look, you've been doing all the moves right and all of the things right and technically blah, 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 but you weren't connecting that. They weren't seeing or resonating with it.
Let's be honest, he could have done it in a nicer way. It probably didn't need to be so aggressive. Like, he was whacking the wall and I was like, whoa, okay, cool. That's me, the wall. But, and I think also, like, the disconnect is what he was trying to point out. He's like, I know you're an out there, expressionate person. Why are you not, like, I want that in your dancing. That's what's going to get you the work. I'm thankful that I got that, advice before my career started, so to speak. And I think it was at like a later stage that year, I was in a dance concert still with my old childhood dance school. And I'd actually my friend had made me laugh before I went on stage. So I went on for one of our dances and I was in hysterics laughing because of what she'd said. And I did the whole dance with this thing and I came off and the director of that school was like, oh my gosh, Jacinda, your face was amazing. And I was like, penny drop. I didn't get it when he said it, but I will also never forget, like, the wing I was in when she made me laugh, what I did and what I was doing and the feeling I had on that stage when it was the thing. And I obviously I was very serious, I was a very serious dancer. I was a 90s jazz girl. Like, I hit the beats. There was no, like, I hadn't really gone into my era of emotive contemporary, which is where I kind of like drifted into at a later stage. And yeah, I just hadn't made that connection that he was trying to bring to light in a very dance school aggressive way.
Very passive aggressive, not so passive, just aggressive way.
Just aggressive.
I think one of the stories out of that is not the advice, but what you did with it, what you're able to then pick up and work with. And I guess that's in many ways a lot of people when they give, they say does this person know that it had such an effect on you, or all those sort of things. Like, often when people give advice, they don't realize what that's meant to the other person.
Not at all. Like, I don't think we think like that at all. What has happened, I guess, because I've made my career in coaching, teaching across many iterations, it's become my skill set. I actually get those friends that I, abruptly use these advice trials on. They will often throw all my advice back at me now. They've gotten smart. And it's not one, it's not two, it's like multiple. And they will literally say, I'm going to give you some advice that you gave me. And I'm like, oh shit, fuck, what did I say?
Well, to that point, like, often we don't always realize that we're giving other people advice, and it's kind of,
no,
you just say something in the moment and you've taken the white wall and you've taken the no one dies and no one goes to prison, and that's been meaningful for you. But sometimes you say things to people to just help them or snap them out of something, and it has a big effect on them. Yeah.
It is quite funny when my advice gets thrown back at me. I'm like, oh, that was...
Give us some examples of that, Jacinda.
Oh, I can't even. And honestly, it happens on a regular basis now. They're getting smart. It may be, to do with dating or to do with like, oh, I'm scared. And they're like, well, something you told me. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Like, right. I was like, that was good advice. I didn't. And I think, back to your point, Ben, about, sometimes not knowing when we are giving advice or whatever, I have, because of my teaching and my coaching, I've actually had to put a bit of a filter into my conversing, sometimes with friends, definitely with clients, where I'm like, let me know if you want advice. That is a really safety net I've put in with a lot of my friends, because you constantly talk, and to your point, you don't know if you're giving advice and they want it or don't want it or are open to hear it. And because I'm so freely doing it, because it's what I do, I've had to put a bit of a safety barrier in where it's like, okay, I'm going to watch your thing. Let me know if you want advice. Let me know what type of advice you want, or let me know if you just want to show me the cool thing you did. And that can be anything. That can be whether it's a video or a presentation, or whether it's just like, oh my God, this happened today. It's like, hey, did you want to talk about it, or did you just want to vent? And I think that's a really, really valuable, important point about advice and relationships, because that's gone a long way between me and my friends. And also from the receiving end of advice, sometimes when I'm going full steam ahead, I've got this event. It's happening, right? Whether my ego gets hurt or not, it's happening. It's on. All the pieces of the puzzle have landed. But I might want to vent, but I might not. I'm a week out. I don't have time for your advice right now. You giving me advice is just going to make me spiral. So I actually just need to talk in circles at you. Thank you. Hold your advice. I'll learn whatever I'm learning, and I'll get your advice on the other side, and I'll fix the next one, or whatever that's just an example of something I'm going through right now.
Yeah, I must admit, it's taken me 26 years of my relationship and marriage with my wife to start to understand that sometimes she just is telling me stuff and I don't need to give her my dumb advice, which is just stupid and wrong. Like, what's wrong with you?
It's communication, right? It comes down to it.
It's not about the nail, then. It's not about the nail.
The saving grace is she there's no way she'll listen to this, so
great. Great.
It is a really good point, though, you made, because obviously in a coaching situation and when we're talking about many things that's around, yes, you give feedback, you give positive reinforcement, or you're giving advice, and it's all getting mixed up into one. But it is a really interesting point that you raise, that it's good advice to ask if you want to actually looking for advice.
Yeah, it saved a lot of friendships. A lot of friendships that I value really highly. And I guess it's like, on the right day, I want your advice. Like, I really want your advice. But at the same time, on the wrong day, if I hear your advice, because I care about it so much and value it, it's going to knock me off course. And I actually can't be knocked off course today. I can't. So I love you, but shush. And vice versa. It's vice versa. But I guess people pay me for my advice. They pay me to coach them. So that is a very different setting. And I love that, because that is a safe place where I can just operate freely in motion. So
for us analytical blokes, what is the best way for us to realize if somebody doesn't want advice?
I'm sensing a new career path I could be taking. And I'm really not shunning it away.
I mean, I was going to say, working with your brother, he's always giving advice. He never stops giving advice.
But I think you expect it, possibly. Yeah. It's an expectation from certain people that that's what they do. And I think, with me and him, we both give advice quite freely, in terms of the work and business sense. And you probably have those relationships where you don't have to put a advice buffer in place, or you can, and to your point, Fraser, you can gauge somebody's, like whether they're ready to receive advice or not. And I'm going to, presence coach you here because it comes down to body language. You can tell if somebody's standing, for those of you that are listening, like hunchbacked, arms folded in front of them, I guarantee you they don't want to hear what you got to say. They're closed off. If somebody is like open hand, let's say willing in the face, you can see willing and eager, and you can see I'm fucking petrified, if that makes sense. And it's getting to learn to see those things and register. And as I said, I'm in the business of communication, people. I've stood on stages and I've adapted to people in a stand-up comedy sense, in a performing sense for years, everyone from, children's shows to adults comedy. So my gauge in that is much more practiced. So I reckon it's very much comes down to those clear indicators. There's some big ones, and then if you don't know, ask. I think that's what it comes down to.
Judging the moment and asking the question. I was just thinking, Ben, we should change the name to from the Best Advice podcast to the Best Advice with Consent podcast or something.
I was going to say, like, again, getting back to my wife, like if I asked her, do you want advice at this point? Like I'd probably get much the same reaction as well.
But also remember, Ben, if you don't give advice when she wants advice, you're also fucked.
Totally. Like,
so
how can I help is the best phrase in that case, is it? How can I help?
So, yeah.
Just listen. Okay.
I think we're like stripping it way back way too much. But, I guess look, I went to a networking event this morning and I'm walking out going, I said some things that were probably for a stand-up stage, not a networking space of people who have never met me before. And I was like, but you know what? If that's hard to hear, it's actually, I mean what I said in terms of what I was trying to crassly prove. So I stand by it, but do I think it was the correct way to ruffle the feathers? I don't know. But hey, the people I was in conversation with want to have a coffee and want to connect anyway, so here we are. It's dancing the fine line all the time.
I feel like I want to hear what you were saying to them this morning now.
I'm happy to say it again, but like this means it's on record, And I don't know if that's really good. I can tell you what I said, but I can tell you not what it was in relation to. Does that work? That maybe saves my ass. Going to that thing made me feel like I told you it was crass.
Right.
But you know what I mean. That is clear.
Not in a networking space, but definitely in a stand-up comedy space.
Just sounds like, okay, fine, cool. But I feel really passionate about it. So anyway, that's a me borderline, like that's a me barrier, but it's actually true. And that's the sad thing about that statement.
You're going to some fascinating networking events, Jacinda.
Trust me, I don't think they want me back. Actually, no, they did invite me back.
Well, but
this is my point because
no one dies and no one goes to prison, right?
Fraser, that's it. You nailed it. I'm okay. I can sleep tonight and know that I didn't fuck it up completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I've said it to other people before too, but I think I am very articulate with my words and
it was
so
definitely
passionate.
more interesting than just looking at a white wall. That's the other thing too.
Right. I like to create visuals. And the other person next to me said, I wouldn't quite have put it that way. And I said, but you see what I mean? And they're like, yeah, I do actually. And I said, great. Look, my creativity, and yes, I think I do need to write my stand-up show so that I get these crass words, sayings, phrases off my chest. But shock, surprise, and delight, it's that was the surprise. The delight was the conversation that followed.
That was the shock.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Shock value.
That's a really interesting point, though, that you've just got shock, surprise, and delight. Is that something you say a lot?
Like in terms of...
Well, is that something you're talking to your clients about with regards to, the idea of commanding your presence? Is that something you one of your saying, shock, surprise, and delight?
No, actually, but now it is. But what I do work on with my clients and what it would turn into is, what do you want to do to the audience? Because you have that control. So you have the control, and what do you want the audience to feel? And that is a big part of what I teach as a coach. Do you want to shock, surprise, or delight? And I guarantee you, I always open my keynotes or my workshops with the action of to welcome. So what do you have it in your control, what you do in that moment, in every moment.
One of the sayings I remember, Keith Abraham used to talk about this concept as well of the audience. What do you want them to think, feel, and do? What is the hands, the head, and the heart of the topic? And if they know what, the way they're supposed to feel about it and how they're supposed to think about it, and then what's supposed to do about it with, the hands part, it gives people that roundedness of the point.
Yeah. And it's however, and it's, shock, surprise, or delight. They are three very different actions, just to make point of you have control of what comes out of your mouth. Bring it back to advice. The advice that comes out of your mouth, you have control over it. No one dies and no one goes to prison. You're okay. I'm done rolling with that, because if they're the things that come out of my mouth, then I have to roll with such a elaborate piece of advice.
Yeah, your friends will remind you of the advice you gave and hand it back to you.
Yeah, definitely.
In the coaching sessions, are there other go-to bits of advice that you're often regularly saying to your clients?
Definitely. There's a lot of focus about preparation. Be prepared. So I guess it's quite funny because advice can be really simple. Like, you can narrow it down to something so simple. Be prepared. Obviously, there's a whole avenue that we work on with what it means to be prepared, but just that simple concept of be prepared. There's no ifs, there's no buts, there's no questions. That's advice. That's straight shooter advice. Be prepared. How? That's a different story. That's what we work on. But it can be something so simple like that. And there's two more that go with that. Be prepared, be personal, be present. So they're the 3 Ps. And if you follow them, we've got a good presentation.
The 4th P.
Benny, that's why I employ you.
I do like symmetry. 4 is better than 3 in my head. Which probably comes back to the white wall versus personality coming back on stage bit as well. Do you find people, getting on stage and performing for a lot of people is like one of the scariest things they can do in their life. Are these people that are regularly doing it or have done it and are trying to do it better, or preparing for that first one that they have suddenly been told you're getting up there and you're going to talk about this thing? What stage are they at?
The clients I'm dealing with and the clients that I like to work with mostly I'm taking them from good to great, possibly from one-on-one to one-to-many. So they are already comfortable with presenting, or if they haven't done it before and it's their first time, they want to do it. I'm not pulling teeth. I'm not talking to that 18-year-old who looks like a white wall. I work with clients that want to change and want to be great. And I've got a bag of tricks of 25 years that we go through until we figure out what it is that they need to make whatever change it is that they want and whatever goal it is that they want to achieve. Again, not about anything I want them to do. It's about their end goal, and we just keep going till they.
What are some of the common tricks that you talk about for people? Like, obviously, there's a fair chunk. It's like 75% of people, something that hate the concept of public speaking. What are some of the go-tos that you go to when people are are fearful or worried or scared about public speaking?
Yeah, a lot of it, a lot of those worries drift away once you have feedback. And I find in some of my first physical sessions, because I do the writing and then also the physicality of putting the writing on the stage and into the body, what I've found is a lot of people don't actually know what they're doing well. So they don't even have an internal clock on, oh, that's a standard and I'm hitting that one. Cool. What am I not hitting? So that's why I call myself a producer, because I'm producing the client and I'm working with them and directing them so that they understand. And this is the, different white wall. But when you talk to a white wall and you've only got an inanimate object that is not speaking back to you, you don't have a gauge on what you're doing or what you're doing wrong or how you could do it better. So a lot of the time once they gather information of where they're at, I see an immense relaxation in that. Or with my keynote speakers, and when I'm writing the keynotes, they're like, I have all this stuff I want to say. And I'm like, great, cool. What is it? Once we format it and they actually read their own words, their confidence skyrockets. They just didn't know how to collate it in such a way that told a story and made sense. And yeah, it's those little gems. The other biggest thing is breathing. A lot of people forget to breathe. And once you bring that into somebody's consciousness, it gives them space to do the things and get through the fear of it.
Getting back to that, they don't know whether or not they're doing it right. I can imagine for a lot of people, when they get up on stage, they just, they almost shut down and they're up there performing and doing whatever they need to do, but they're not sort of they're almost not conscious of what's actually going on. Is that it doesn't happen to me, but clearly, is that a common problem?
I think there's a lot of people that do that innately, especially if you're thinking about corporate leaders who are doing a lot of board presentations. Like there's a lot of people that are doing presentations in their careers, but they're not doing them with heart, soul, passion, connection. They're just getting the job done. So if you want to stop just getting the job done and you want to start telling stories and you want to really connect with people, then come and talk to me, because there are different skills that you need to actually connect with an audience. To your point, and it's actually, I have a saying for when I do a performance like you're describing, Ben. I call it my Eisteddfod show. So for those of you that don't know, an Eisteddfod is a competition for a young dancer where you go and compete. And for me, an Eisteddfod is tits and teeth and jazz hands and make it happen and all the energy, and it's quite fake, essentially. So I have this great reserve that if shit's hitting the fan and if I don't feel well, I can switch on tits and teeth, Eisteddfod version. The audience will not know that they got a Eisteddfod version of a show, but it is a state of, I had to go into autopilot. Smile now. Like eyes up, lean in. And it's very robotic and it's very non in the moment. Because if I hit those smiles and those lean-ins and those eyes open and whatever, I know that they think that I've done a good performance. And this actually happened to me for one of my last one-woman shows. I didn't know I had it, that I had COVID, and I was on stage. And at every monologue, at the end of every monologue, at the end of every dance number, was a 45-minute show, dancing, roller skating, acting, singing, just me. I felt like I was going to faint. So I had to switch on Eisteddfod Jacinda to get the job done. And I think the most, the easiest way to describe Eisteddfod Jacinda is you monitor your energy. Whereas if I'm feeding off the audience, I'll feed off whether the audience is high energy or whether the audience is low energy or whether they pull and go. And that actually takes a lot from you. So yeah, you can get on stage and you can deliver a good presentation. But if you want to deliver a great presentation, you're going to have to learn some tricks to figure that one out.
Yeah.
That's great advice too.
Is there any other best pieces of advice you want to leave the audience with?
I think about what my Post-it notes to my affirmations to myself at the moment are. And one of my affirmations at the moment is, or like my pieces of advice is, let's fucking go. And that's probably what I say to my friends at the moment. And that's what they keep saying back to me. And that's what I have to keep saying to myself with, where I'm going with putting new things out there in the world, because let's fucking go. And it gives you like a anchoring that sometimes you need to remind yourself. And I say it to friends like, I can say it to you guys now, let's fucking go. Like all three of us, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to get done, Fraser, whatever you're trying to get done, Ben, like, let's go. We're in it together. Your thing, my thing, your thing. It's a collective. And I think that's what I like about that one at the moment and why it's hanging around. Yeah.
Way to go. That's probably a good way to let's go. I think, Jacinda, if people want to continue this conversation with you and find out more about what you do and how you can help them with their presence, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can start by looking up my podcast, which is Command Your Presence. You will find an episode with Ben on there. And otherwise, connect with me on LinkedIn. Jacinda.
Ben who?
Ben Martian.
Who's
Ben Martian? Or your mate? Jacinda Patty on LinkedIn or commandyourpresence.com, and all the information about what I do, what I help with, and who I help is on there. Yeah.
Sorry, and I would say outside, hi, I'm Ben. It's nice to meet you, Fraser. Jacinda's LinkedIn is so much more fascinating than many other LinkedIn
Thanks,
posts
Ben.
that you see. So I would encourage you, just for a change of scenery on your LinkedIn, to follow Jacinda, because it's well worth the entertainment and the presence and the going for it and just enjoying life and what you do. So thank you, Jacinda, for joining us. It has been great, and we will catch everybody on the next episode.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacinda.